Today I'm going to talk to you about legacy. For me, legacy is how people will talk about you after you're dead. How people will remember you, how people will count the story that you achieved in your life. I have always been an average kid. Not the worst, but certainly not the smartest. But how to say, very, very good in laziness. Life starts very bad for me, right? I remember the first day when I saw someone got killed in front of me. The guy was sitting in his car, and there was a terrorist came by and shot him in his head and his body. The only mistake this guy did is being a teacher. I was maybe 13 years old. A few months later, like every kid, I was going to school around 8 a.m. Everything normal till now. That specific day, a group of terrorists decided to put a bomb in a police office station that was literally a few meters from my school. So the first thing that shocked me was obviously the sound. You never forget this sound. The shockwave. The second thing that was more shocking is when you see people dying or about to die in front of you. So from that moment, you stop being a kid. You get knocked to another dimension. You have to deal with that. A few weeks later, I literally decided to write my obituary. I wanted to imagine my life, my story, how it will end, knowing all what's happened was happening every day. When I finished that story, I didn't like it. It was simple, it was bland, it was sad, and with a very, very bad ending. Your obituary is your legacy. Your legacy is your new destiny. I decide to invent a new one. Decide to create my own story. I imagine something more important, more beautiful, fun, grandiose. How to achieve that, knowing where I was. I have since been investment banker, serial entrepreneur, managed several fintechs, several exits, partner in 2 venture capitalist firms, business angel, advisor in several organizations, a father of beautiful kid, and I did rock climbing and acrobatic rollerblade, and none of them was in Algeria. Yes. So how I did that? I laid out a plan for my life, and I divided into 3 steps. I have always applied this plan to my life every time I was in a bad situation or I wanted to achieve something big. So I divided this plan in 3 steps. Step 1, decide who you want to become based on who you want to be. Step 2, do what you have to do to become what you want to be. And step 3, which is the most important, never quit. Keep going. Never give up. Looks simple, right? Not really. But honestly, it is if you really want to. So here we are. I decided to start my new life. How? First, I decided to quit Algeria. I knew that my future wasn't there. I wanted to go to France. I mean, you don't decide to move to France, and especially in a country, close country, that was Algeria at that time. Took me literally 2 years to achieve that. Thousands of emails sent to universities. I want to finish my studies there. Hundreds of calls. I get rejected countless times. Eventually, I got selected to in a university in Normandy. Cool, let's go. Decide to go there. It was a lot of sacrifices, financially. We were not rich at that time, but at least I had the support of my family. So, here we are, the first day of my new life. The first flight, never took a plane before. The first flight, I took it September 11, 2001. I'm not kidding, I'm very serious. I took the flight the same day of that sad date. Always remember that moment in my life. Why? I keep in mind because every time you think that you are in a situation that is very bad, you think that it's the worst ever, there's always others, some that are in a worse situation than you. So live your life 1000%. Here we are. I'm in France. I knew nothing about that country. I had to learn everything. I knew probably 5% of what my classmates knew at that time. They had problems that were completely different of mine. I mean, it's funny now when I talk about it, but it wasn't that funny at that time. They ask me questions, when I answer, they don't understand my answers. Not because I didn't speak French, but for someone who spoke French as well as they did at that time, how they could understand that back in Algeria when I was a student, in my very, very tiny room, university room, that I had to live with cockroaches that were passing by my bed. That I had to go to the shared toilets to do my toilet needs. That toilets were completely clogged and dirty like ever, facing rabid dogs and rats sometimes. How they can understand that? How they can understand why they had to organize their awesome weekend on Thursday night. That I had to think, back in Algeria when I was students, what I have to take on my breakfast, what I have to eat, for example, on the day, if I can eat. That I had to fetch water on a wild well to clean myself, but sometimes to drink. That water that almost ruined my life. They can't understand that. It's not possible, right? I couldn't achieve the success or achieve the goal they had in mind by following the same process as them. It's not possible. It's logically not possible. So I applied step 2, do it. So I start working like no one else. So when others were playing, having fun, partying, on vacation, I was working. When others were sleeping, I was working. When others were working, I was working 10 times more. My philosophy at that time, and it's still the same, is I'm the only one who writes the chapter of my life. I'm the only one who writes the story of my life. And I'm not following the waves, but I create my own tsunami. I did all the odd jobs, and I've been fired countless of times. I experienced racism, the ordinary, but the more vicious sometimes, which is worse. I experienced loneliness, fear. I was hungry many times. Didn't have money that time. But I had a story to tell. I had a legacy to leave for me, for my children, for my family. I didn't want to hear he just survived. It wasn't an option for me. Every time I saw something impressive, beautiful, I wanted to add it to my story. Remember, imagine my story. All this story I imagined all my life now. It was something that I wrote before. So I wanted to add it. Remember, one day I was walking in Paris near Notre Dame, and I saw people doing acrobatic rollerblade. With some friends, I was walking, and the guys said, come on, you're not thinking of doing this. They've been doing it for years. Come on. I said, yeah, but I like it. I want to do it. So after a year of several injuries, fractures, nights in hospitals, I managed to be among them and did some shows with them. Jumping, all that crazy stuff. One day I was in university in Normandy and I saw people doing rock climbing. First time I see this in my life. And I loved it. But those guys have been doing this for so many years. It was so good. I worked out even when it was snowing or raining. The night I was working out, and a year after I got stuck, I remember an entire week, and I missed my studies. I was stuck an entire week in my bed because of the injuries. I climbed with the best of them in incredible cliffs in Normandy. I created my own climbing routes with my name on it. And I climbed some amazing grades ones that you need to wait a couple of years to do it. I wanted to live that story. Life is amazing. I wanted to work in finance. It was my dream. But before I was like sales, when I started working, I was a sales guy in the tech sector. So how can you move from the tech sales to the finance? It's hard, especially in France. It's very conservative. Everyone told me that. So I said, thanks for this discouraging advice, but I have a story to tell. I have a chapter to add in my life. So I met everyone that I had to meet on that sector, and I sent emails to everyone, and I networked with everyone, and eventually I've been through business angel, VC firms, investment bank, and I add this new story by applying the step 3, never give up. Life is really amazing and beautiful. Yesterday, I wasn't planned for that. I got invited with small and selective group to meet the founder and CEO of Blackstone, one of the biggest hedge funds in the world. This guy is the godfather in finance. Me, born in Algeria during the dark period of terrorism. The percentage of chance of having that chance of speaking with that guy is very tiny, but I did it. It was a dream to be a TEDx speaker. Me, born in Algeria during that period. I believe in the fact that some people are born with some advantages, materials, money, and connections, family, you name it. They can achieve a goal by following a straight line, sometimes, most of the time. But I believe that everyone can achieve whatever he wants to reach the same goal, or sometimes bigger goals, just the route is different. The route, you have to be more creative, but it's possible. And the fun about this is this route can help you a lot to discover new things. Back on when I started this new journey, there was many times when I was crying alone in my room. I was crying because I was alone. I was young. I was scared. I was completely afraid. But as paradoxical as it may sound, it was tears of joy, because I knew that I was about to touch my dream and realize what I wanted to be. And I knew that it was the only way you can achieve your goal, is that way. How do you want people to remember you after you're dead? How do you want people to talk about yourself when you're not here anymore? What kind of story do you want to leave? I'm actually managing 3 businesses. I'm launching my own VC fund. I'm advisor in 4 organizations, work out every day. Why I do it? Because it's my duty. Because it's part of my story. It's part of the legacy that I want to achieve. Because I knew that I had no chance to be here, but I did it because of the work. So I have a question for you. What do you want to leave behind you? Thank you very much.